Okay, hello world. We are making another video, and this one won't be too long. But I just wanted to talk about because in the last video I posted, I briefly spoke about boundaries and things, and I just wanted to talk about for a second boundaries in terms of people in your life, and that can be anybody. It doesn't have to just be when you think boundaries, you normally tend to think straight to like a partner, right? But it can also include friends. It can also include family members, and it can include, your workplace, the other people that you work with and around, anybody, really, that you have contact with in your life. And I just wanted to give, some examples of that as well, because, I really do feel like sometimes we allow other people to sort of tread over our boundaries in life, because we be polite. We don't want to cause a fuss. We don't want to be the stick in the mud. We don't want to be the Karen, like there's all these sayings of somebody, to describe somebody as being difficult, but like it's okay to say no. It's okay to not be comfortable with something, or to have a clear boundary with people, like this is something that I am not comfortable with or I don't tolerate. Is that not something that we want to teach our children? We've got the whole my body, my choice, I am the boss of my own body messages for our kids, but we really should be, that should be a broader thing of boundaries. It should be encompassing a lot more topics, not just physical. So, for an example, from my personal life, and I've spoken previously in other videos of my relationship with my mother, which I had to draw the line in, and that even took many attempts, because I was forgiving and trying to make peace for my children and my grandparents' benefits. So it took years really before I actually really drew the line. But now I also have a sister who I haven't spoken about yet, and she is 4 years younger than me, and because of a lot of certain things to do with my childhood, I was always very much like a second parent to her throughout childhood. I was basically taking on a mother role at home, but even outside of childhood, when we had both left home, even then I still was like her mother. I went and had a meeting with the school principal when I had already finished year 12 and moved on to my life, and she was in high school and having a lot of behavioural issues and stuff. I spoke with government agencies on, as a older family member speaking, advocating for her. I helped her get jobs when she didn't want to continue with schooling anymore. Helped her get a hairdressing apprenticeship. When I heard through the grapevine, when she wasn't speaking to anybody, she was isolating because of drug problems she was having and things at the time. Well, she wasn't speaking to family, she was speaking to her little circle. And I heard about what she was getting up to, and I heard maybe where she might be. I went and got her out of that situation and took her into my home. Me having a home with a spare room, I fed her, I clothed her, I bought everything for her. Tried to set her up with a new life. And it's sort of been time and time again, excuse me, of helping her in life, despite each time that I've done that, it's backfired on me. She has stolen things from me. She even one time stole my car, and her version of events is basically like it was for a joyride, but then she couldn't work out how to use it because she was not even driving age. Stolen clothing that was worth a lot of money. Sort of yelled and screamed at me, just really disrespectful towards me and in my home, and just been very, nasty. She even, there's been periods where, she was even speaking to my ex, who I have expressed to you guys that, that was a domestic violence situation. She knew that as well. She even considered becoming like a housemate with him. So my point is that it doesn't matter, even if it's family members. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who it is. If somebody is treating you badly, and not really even sorry for it either, but and it's time and time again, and things like that. You are worth more than that. You deserve better than that. You don't have to put up with it. Especially when people, say, people have like an anger issue or something, that you could actually just go get therapies for. There's behavioural therapy, there's counselling, there's, I don't know if there's medication for that, but, there's things that can be addressed. If people refuse to help themselves and change, and if they're not even apologetic, and that's just, they just want to be a bully or a nasty person, hurt you over and over again like that, don't put up with it. Don't put up with it. It doesn't matter who it is. You don't deserve that, and you don't need to carry the baggage of their issues, because that's what it is, really. You have to then like your life is then shaped by how they treat you, instead of you being in charge. It's a power thing, and they're taking away your power, and you shouldn't allow it. So look, basically, but I don't know if I've dribbled on too much or made my point, but I just want everybody to really assess if there's a situation where an employer, partner, a family member, a friend, anyone in life is treating you badly. It's okay for you to voice that, if it's safe to do so or if it's appropriate. Otherwise, find a way to change the circumstance and remove yourself from the situation. Removing yourself from a situation is always really the best. But I do understand how that can be difficult in, family dynamics, especially, families that get together for everyone's birthdays or other celebrations through the year, and you have to be sort of in the same home or place as maybe a family member who, uses times like that as an opportunity to bully you or belittle you or, in any way be hurtful toward you. That's a difficult situation, isn't it? And you have to navigate around everybody in the family, to understand why you might be drawing a line in the sand with that person. And sometimes the family can also not necessarily be supportive of that, especially initially. They'll make excuses for that person too, or they'll just tell you to ignore them, and all sorts of stuff like that. It is a tough one, and in that situation, you would probably definitely benefit from having, sessions with a counsellor and getting some proper advice. And then, the same sort of thing like in workplace, that can also be very difficult to navigate. I still don't know how with, human resources and OHS and, there's a union for everything. And, I really don't know how, terrible behaviour or terrible conduct can still exist in workplaces, really. I think it's just because, like I said before, people don't want to be the stick in the mud. They don't want to stand up and voice and cause a problem about somebody in the workplace who is being terrible and having inappropriate behaviour. But they should be reported. They should be dealt with appropriately. You shouldn't even have to, say quit your job to feel, safe from that behaviour. They should be the person reprimanded, not you. When you go to work, you should feel safe and respected. And if that's not the case, you really should voice up about it. And again, I know that's hard in some industries and in some workplaces. And you've got to do the best you can for yourself. You have to, like I said in my previous video, you have to reflect. You have to think about how to approach the situation and do whatever you can, make whatever changes you can. And obviously if it's to do with a family member, yeah, I mean, I know that's hard. If it's a partner, you know, there is never, there's never a time when abuse is okay from your partner towards you, and you 100% need to have that as a clear boundary for yourself in life. You know, especially, let's say you were to leave a terrible relationship like that, and then you meet someone in the future, that has to be a boundary that you would never cross yourself, that you would never make excuses for another person to treat you like that either. You know, and that's actually one of the things that is sort of an assumption about, you know, say it's a child who goes through abuse in their childhood by a parent. It's assumed by authorities that they are going to have mental health issues throughout their life, and also have relationships with abusive people, and also possibly have drug or alcohol issues. And if you do find yourself, even if you didn't have childhood abuse, if you do find yourself in a abusive or violent relationship, authorities do assume that you will continue that cycle, and you know, it could be 10 other people that you had a relationship with, you know, in 20 years after that, and they would assume that you would continue to make excuses for people who abuse you. That's the assumption. And you know, look, maybe there is some truth to that assumption. Maybe if you're sort of trained, you know, to accept abuse in your childhood, maybe you are more likely to accept abuse in your adult life by a partner. But I think there are also, you know, incorrect assumptions there, because you can't say that, you know, basically everyone has the same outcome who has a childhood with abuse. You can't say that everyone has the same outcome ahead of them, you know, that ever finds themselves in a DV or, you know, abusive relationship. You know, you can't say that a person who had abuse as a child, you know, will highly likely, you know, be a drug addict, or be lower socioeconomically, or go on to abuse their own children. I mean, some of those assumptions seem, I don't know, maybe too generalized, or I don't know what the correct wording is there. But you know what I mean. Yeah, so anyway, the message of this video is basically have boundaries, stick to your boundaries. It's okay to not be comfortable with particular behaviours or situations. It's okay for you to say no. It's okay for you to voice your discomfort or your upset or a situation going on, no matter who it involves, family, partner, workplace colleagues, employer. You have to take care of you, especially if you're a parent. Taking care of you is actually a much bigger priority than some people think. Because if you're not okay, really no one's okay. You know, or it will just be a real big struggle. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.